Hi, it's Doug Belanger with another edition of In and Around Town. And today we have not only a special guest, but a special concept that I hope not only catches on, but that you learn to participate in. So first, let me welcome Mike Coogan. Mike, welcome.
Thank you, Doug. Thanks for the opportunity.
Michael, you and I go back a ways from everything in the community probably that's happened, from library fundraising to all kinds of youth sports.
Yes, we were back-to-back presidents of the Leicester Little League many years ago.
And somehow survived.
And survived, that's true. That's what it was, survival.
But you know, there is something here, and in this concept I'm going to have you speak about, and I'll just give an overview and hope people not only listen today, but participate with you in the future. You started talking to me about sort of the bad news bears and how people need inspiration, and you had this concept in your mind. And so we said, well, because you wanted to do a show, you want to get this out and have it grow and stream and so on. And so we said, you know what, let's do a kind of basic one here, try it out, and then you can tell folks, and then you can start your own show. So I look forward to that. But tell us a little bit about that whole genesis. What started this?
It started like many years ago. Linda Ellaby had, she was a news correspondent. She was also the Maxwell House coffee girl. But she had a show, and a caller and asked her, why is it that every day all of the news that we read is bad stuff and bad things that happen every day in our world? And Linda actually kind of got her back up a little bit and responded very sternly that news is the exception to the rules, norms, and laws of our society. And the day that we do see a headline of the proverbial Boy Scout helping the elderly woman cross the road, then it is time to be afraid, because that would be the exception to the rule. With all due respect to Linda's comments, I think we almost have crossed a line or come to a point where bad news, violence, terrorism, whether it, things on a local, state, national, and global level, dominate the news to the point where the good things seem to get lost. And I would just like to quote, I'm going to just read this on, a month ago, on July 16th, Worcester Telegram and Gazette columnist George Barnes noted in the beginning of an article, in these times of almost endless tragedy, anger, and sorrow, finding something to lift your spirits is almost crucial. And I think that's almost the crux of what I'm trying to do here, is to provide an outlet for folks that are either having a life struggle or even a bad day. If it can uplift them, put a smile on their face, and say, geez, maybe things are okay. We
saw in an earlier show, I'm always moved, and you know it affects me when I do these particular ones, but with the Devin Kravitz, this is their 10th annual memorial race they're doing this year, but you saw in the interviews the family who lost a child, Devin Kravitz, take something bad, turn something good, but without redoing that part of it, there was somebody else who had a child who was going through that, survived a little bit from added knowledge of the previous tragedy, and then created a page that created a network that created this huge event, the 10th annual event, where I'm telling you there are hundreds and hundreds of people that show up, raise money for awareness for this particular disease, but also share their stories that there is hope. And so we're on a similar page on the idea, the contract.
I did the opportunity to see most of that, and it just, I think, proves that people can come together after something sad or bad does happen. It does, I think, a lot of people do rally. You see catastrophes, whether they're natural or man-made. It sometimes does bring people together, and then you see the good things. But what I'm talking about more about some of the smaller things that do happen every day, very often quietly, because people often will perform a random act of kindness and prefer to remain anonymous.
Right.
So they can, I'm going to start a Facebook page. People can search for it, Good Stuff News and Random Acts of Kindness, and share their stories through a video, an audio, some type of a story, because this show will only be successful if people do share. It's not going to happen with Michael Coogan sitting up here and reading about stories like I'm reading the newspaper out loud to folks. It really needs input.
We have one of those services.
We do. And so this will be successful when people from not just Leicester or Massachusetts, but as it, I hope, begins to grow, share their things, and then pay it forward. It was popularized in a movie made many years ago. And as a matter of fact, my wife was at Dunkin' Donuts a couple of weeks ago here in town, and the cashier said, the woman in front of you just paid your bill. Would you like to do it behind you? And I guess it had started like 5 or 6 cars earlier. So I think it can be contagious. Right. People, something good happens to them. I think usually human nature does, it just happens that people get uplifted and feel the need to do something good themselves. Yeah,
it's the, and I've used it more than once, I'm sure, but it's that keep hope alive thing. Where,
right.
And when I'm maybe not in my best place, whether it be just, again, the little aggravations of life or some other career or other disappointment, to know that there's just people out there, maybe without the pre-part of that, the previous to say me concluding that or receiving that, I'm having a bad day and somebody goes out of their way to open a door. I mean, you know, I work a lot at the hospitals, and I find those little things matter so much to people. A woman said to me the other day, she started to hold the door, and she mad at me if I let her do that. And I opened the door. This lady lit up and said, "Your mother would be proud." And so I told my mom's birthday today, and I went to the cemetery and told her that story.
Good for
so
you.
it is, it does make a difference. I watched that woman maybe walk a little lighter in her step, not thinking maybe some other people were just rude to her. Maybe you don't know the rest of the story, but that little thing can help.
And I'm sure that she felt good that the compliment that she paid to you, and probably thought it made your day.
And it
it was reciprocal.
There you go.
And I think those are the types of things that I just know. I've worked for nonprofit or with nonprofit organizations for 34 years. I've seen extraordinary, generous acts, but also acts of kindness as well. So they happen. They just are done quietly, and I think that, you know, with the world the way it is, there's so much negativity, whether, you know, people focus on our differences when we have so much more in common.
Sure.
And it's time that we try and bring those stories out.
Yeah, and I will say it's, you know, when I work in the various public arenas that I'm in, when people were, as they are on a regular basis now, getting on police because of some incident, and yet we know every day, not only personally in this area, what tragedies we also go through and those families go through, but the day in and day out things, as we talked about again in other shows, about the police going out of their way to do that extra nice thing.
That's right.
And yet, I think as offices, and we've seen this in departments throughout Worcester, Leicester, and Auburn, where they're starting to feel a little beat up. And maybe somebody did something nice, an officer did something nice for you, whatever it was, some minor, small, but something. And maybe if we pass that on and let not only them know that we appreciate it, but other people who are starting to only read that bad news to go, well, I guess they're not all bad. And maybe we grow the other way, which is what I'd like to do.
And that's what I'm trying to do, just in some small way, with a half an hour, maybe every other week or something like that. I don't have a time frame set up quite yet. This is kind of the germination of the whole idea. But I agree with that. I think the Worcester Police recently had a day that they had people come together, and it was a tremendous crowd. And it did make people different.
And just too often. Now, so what's the plan-wise? It's you're getting ready for your show, so you're going to want some notices ahead of time, so people can get on your Facebook, do whatever, and say, hey, this happened to me, or I saw this happen, or whatever. Tell me the mechanics. How does the average person go? And I like the idea. What do we do?
The mechanics are, and I was just talking to Art about it out in the other room while you were doing the other show, would be, and it's not a finished product by any stretch of the imagination, but I think Facebook is a very popular medium right now to have people go there and upload a video. They can remain anonymous. They don't have to share their names, because a lot of people that perform these acts don't want the notoriety, but understand that it will help people be uplifted and maybe do the same thing. So Facebook would be one.
And what is the Facebook page?
It would be Good Stuff News and Random Acts of Kindness. Through my email, I have one email account set up through Gmail that will be exclusively dedicated to this. It's michael.coogan08@gmail.com. please share any types of stories there. Share a video. I think the videos would be most helpful just because it puts faces and real people to these stories. Right. It's not just some anonymous story that is in Leicester or Texas or California, Michigan, wherever. I would really encourage and hope that people would share stories in a visual way.
Yep. In videos, you may think initially, well, we didn't film it, we just did it. But you tell me if this works for you. My son, I give him full credit, and my daughter and her boyfriend do a lot of editing and working with the videos that I do, the 2-minute videos on my page in my political campaign. It's pretty easy. I mean, they're setting up on their little, there's a tripod because he likes to keep it steady, but it's just his iPhone. It's nothing fancier than that. And tell a story. Does that work?
That works. That's probably what we will see most. If you look at the news today, a lot of the stories of the videos that you see, if it's real time, it is somebody that was on their phone, and they have like the blurry parts on the side, but it's just the way that it is. So you do see people recording all the time.
Yep.
Pieces
you mentioned that, though. I don't want to lose that. So the difference between the real time that I do in a particular situation, I'm there, I pull out my phone, I film it, that's cool. But you don't object to the idea of, okay, I saw this, I didn't film it, or this happened to me, and now I do the kind where my son Michael or Nicole, my daughter Nicole, have me tell the story to that thing for a minute or two.
Don't object to it at all. The more we have, the more we can share. And because there's just a little sign that I have in my office, and it says miracles happen every day.
Right.
Some people don't think so, but they do.
They do.
And so it does not have to be the live shot. It can be somebody relating it after the fact. Ideally, again, through a video. I think it's just more effective than just typing in a story. I welcome those too. If somebody has something that they see that they really are impacted by in a positive way, share it, and we'd be happy to again send it out.
Where do you have, I'm going to keep exploring this with you as we've talked about it before, but so now somebody else sees something online on another Facebook, do they forward that to you? Do they, are there any copyright or issues like that and what you can use on this show? Do you know? And
I don't know. Yeah, no, I don't know for sure. I think once it's on Facebook, it's public domain. I would always respect people's privacy. I mean, if they've shared it on a Facebook, I think I'd reach out to that person and say, this is what I'm trying to accomplish. Do you have any objection to me putting it on the air? If you would like to be anonymous or you'd like to offer your name, either way, they could give me the restrictions or just say no. I think there's enough out there that we'll have plenty of information. But again, we need it to come in.
Right. No, that's great. And you're really starting to accumulate them anytime now on your Facebook. Start accumulate them so you can create the show, really.
Absolutely.
No, I think that's great. The other part of it, I was thinking, new school in what people pick up on, whether it's Facebook or online or anywhere else. It could be worldwide. It could be anything. The other would be as I'm still an old-fashioned newspaper reader, and I read a lot of them.
As am I.
And although they're not as common, but I mean, between the Globe and the Herald and New York Times that I read, there'll be once in a while that story. Also something they could forward to you?
Absolutely, yes, from different, because I read the Telegram and Gazette and the Boston publications, but there were, absolutely, forward anything that they think might pertain to good stuff, news, and random acts of kindness. I welcome and would love to hear from just anything that might fit. Whether it's a small paragraph or a 5-minute piece, not too much longer, but.
In between your videos, you could be having this kind of discussion. I'm going to play this video, and then when you come back, and it's like, okay, and I want to tell you this. I got this sent to me from New Jersey, and I just thought it was a cute story, and blah blah blah, right?
Exactly, and I would even entertain people coming in if they're comfortable with it and sharing personally something that if it really had a tremendous positive impact on their life, on their family's lives, then I would love to be able to share that, because I do think it can be infectious, and just not trying to make the world a better place, but maybe one small step at a time, make people's days better or brighter.
Yeah. No, we've seen it, and I mean, unfortunately, we usually only see this type of thing in a movie that is more made up and in in a perfect world, but
Right.
the reality is we're living in this one. There are plenty of these things. I agree with you. I remember one year, Carl Gumbright was chairman of the Board of Selectmen when he talked about random acts of kindness at one of our ceremonies. And so there are plenty of people out there that want to do the pay it forward, want to share, or want to maybe just inspire, enlighten, and pick up somebody from having a bad day. I love it. I think from the first time we talked, I could see it. I know not everybody does that.
No, but from people that I've talked to, my original thought was like a Sirius XM radio. But then I thought that's just a voice, and very expensive. But to just have a voice talking about good things isn't going to be as effective as having a video or this type of medium to share. And I hope it just grows from here.
Yeah.
You know, this is the beginning, and I appreciate that very much.
No, we're here to help. We just want to, in the entire studio, certainly Art and Mo are out here. Lucky is usually, he's at a meeting on the other side of the building right now. But, you know, this is local cable access, and this is in some ways one of the better things to be doing is to share, inspire, and hopefully it grows and streams and goes on. Anything else mechanically or anything else you want to talk about in general? Go ahead.
Mechanically, I was talking with Art and trying to work things out, and he did say this is going to require some work, and I understand that, and I'm happy to have his help, and willing to put in whatever time it takes to do it, to make sure that it is successful, and again, to just lift somebody's spirits and help people to have that spirit of paying it forward. And beyond that, it's really, I've been thinking about it, as I said, for about a year and a half. And I thought to myself, if I don't do this and take the opportunity that you have offered, I don't want to be in 5 years down the road saying, what if?
Yeah.
What small difference could I have made? Or not me, but the people who share their stories.
Right.
This isn't about me. I don't want to be 5 years ago saying, should have, would have, could have, rather than sit here tonight with you and start this project.
That's great. All right, so give them your Facebook page again and/or your
Sure.
Gmail.
The Gmail account is michael.coogan, COOGAN 08 @gmail.com, and the website, the Facebook page would be Good Stuff News and Random Acts of Kindness.
That's great. Start thinking about it, folks. Keep your eyes and ears open. You know, there's so many people that just go through, I don't have the patience or the time, I guess, but just, you know, go through Facebook constantly, and you pick up that story, forward it to Michael, and let's, you know, it's an indirect boost in a way, and yet we can maybe tie it into some themes and some hope, and I think it's great, and there's so much negative out there that whatever little bit we do has got to be a plus.
That's it.
All right. Well, I wish you nothing but the best, Michael. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doug. And please share everything that you can. That's what's going to be the key to success.
Well, this is Doug with another edition of In and Around Town, and we thank you for watching.
Thank you.